Hey everyone, welcome to the Actor's Guide to the End of the World podcast, where we talk about acting in Hollywood in a way people understand. I'm your host, E-Kan Song, and this is my co-host,
Rían Kelly. How's it going?
What's up, buddy? What is up? Follow us if you haven't followed already. Like, subscribe. It really helps the channel. On the show for today, we talk about WeTransfer just changed their terms and conditions, and it's freaking actors out. We talk about everything actors need to know. We also talk about The Late Show with Stephen Colbert getting canceled, all of its implications and the speculation about why that might be, despite him being top in the ratings. And we also bring back our Reddit segment, answering the best questions on the acting thread of Reddit.
We also talk a bit about rehearsal and the idea that over-rehearsing kills spontaneity and whether or not we agree with that.
We talk about how Tom Holland says he learns his lines the morning of in the makeup chair, and other interesting tales from Hollywood land. And that's our show. Sit back, enjoy, and now a word from our sponsor.
Have you always wanted to be in the movies? Well, now thanks to the power of AI, you can experience exactly what it's like to be a big Hollywood star. Almost. Introducing AI Actor, a virtual immersive experience for anybody who wants to feel what it's really like to be an actor in Hollywood.
Feel what it's like to be down to the final two actors for the role and lose to Ryan Gosling. Experience the life-changing money slip right through your fingers only to get to your car and see that you got a parking ticket. And with the new AI Traffic Simulator pack, you can race through hyper-realistic bumper-to-bumper traffic from your callback to your part-time gig at the Cheesecake Factory.
AI Actor, you're so fucking close.
There is news with WeTransfer, data file sharing service that actors and for many of us have been using for years.
They changed their terms of service, and they basically said that whatever content you send using WeTransfer, this is my understanding of it, they can use in perpetuity, like they claim some ownership of.
Looking at this statement, you hereby grant us a perpetual, worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free, transferable, sub-licensable license to use your content for the purposes of operating, developing, commercializing, and improving the service or new technologies or services, including to improve performance of machine learning models that enhance our content moderation process in accordance with the privacy and cookie policy. Such license includes the right to reproduce, distribute, modify, prepare derivative works based upon, broadcast, communicate to the public, publicly display, and perform content. That really does sound scary.
It also gets into the to murky enough waters with NDAs and stuff like that, because a lot of the auditions that we do now come with NDAs, where you're not to share them with anybody else, you're not to distribute them electronically, you're not to, whatever. So surely that would be a risk for intellectual property for studios and stuff. No, I don't know.
So you're completely onto something. So in this article from Art News, they actually talked about this NDA issue specifically. Ash posted on Blue Sky, what these companies don't get or seem to care about is those of us who are professionals in post-production and rely on tools like WeTransfer to send materials to clients have also signed NDAs that are complete conflict with their new TOS. Legally, we can't use WeTransfer now. There you go. This is why everyone's freaking out. A lot of people have been using WeTransfer for almost every audition. It depends on really how you get your auditions.
It depends, yeah. Sometimes
really
it's Dropbox, sometimes it's Actors Access or a service like that where you're directly uploading. But a lot of the time it's WeTransfer because that's the easiest way to send a file.
Exactly, and it's free.
Now we're finding out why it's free.
Exactly. So 2 days ago, they backtracked on their release. They published a blog post that talks more that highlights more details about the updates. The company says in the blog post, first things first, your content is always your content. Oh, well, thank you. That's relieving.
It's really nice.
Yeah, we're not worried
cool.
at all anymore.
Yeah. Enough said.
The post
Thanks
goes on to say the post goes on to say, we don't use machine learning or any form of AI to process content shared via WeTransfer. I think the machine learning really flagged mostly for most people. WeTransfer explains that its use of AI would be to improve content moderation and enhance its ability to prevent the distribution of harmful content across its platform. Whether we believe that to be true, who knows? They say that AI tools aren't being used and haven't even been built yet. To avoid confusion, we've removed this reference.
Well,
There you go.
It doesn't matter what they say they're going to use it for. If they assert a right over it to do anything they want with it, whatever they say is irrelevant because they've asserted the right. So, and then you're just taking their word. And if they renege on their word, there's no consequence because you've already agreed to. You can do whatever you want with it. So,
that's a great point. That's a great point. They if people didn't balk, if people didn't complain, if people didn't highlight and share these posts and highlight the dangers, they probably wouldn't have backtracked. By the way, how many times do we get an email or a message from Facebook saying they updated their terms and conditions? We have no idea how many times that they've changed it and all the things that we're agreeing to. So,
have you ever in your life read from start to finish any terms and conditions? Like from start to finish? I mean, I've skimmed them and looked through them but I've never so much stuff in there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a lot for us to highlight a paragraph in our podcast talking about this stuff, let alone the entire terms and conditions. It's insane. So,
also,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, incidentally, by listening to this podcast, you give us power of attorney. Is that right? That's implicit?
Yeah, exactly. We have control over all of your attention, hopefully.
And your finances.
Social media accounts. So there you go. We've talked about this with other companies. There are a lot of companies that we're trying to use safely because we don't even know what they're actually doing. And here, WeTransfer is one of them now. But they backtracked on the AI. And they say that it's for our protection and to improve the service, which every company essentially says that.
Yeah.
Is this going to change people from not using WeTransfer anymore? I don't know. To be honest, I'm probably not going to.
I bet they'll take a hit.
Exactly. Oh, they will take it. And in all honesty, we found that they backtracked a couple of days ago. I don't even think people know that they backtracked. So I don't know if these will change their anyone's opinion.
Well, I'm sure the initial outburst over it is bigger news than the backtrack.
Exactly.
So that's what people
100%.
remember. Yeah, that's why like a misstep like that as a company can probably be quite devastating to their business. I mean, I don't know if devastating is the right word, but like it can probably impact their business pretty significantly because social media amplifies everything like that where everybody's like, did you hear this? And which is great in one way because you're like, oh, don't use this service. Anyway.
There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad.
Just go back to posting DVDs like we used to do. Do you remember that? Mailing DVD. I remember like sending DVDs back to Ireland, FedExing DVDs of
for
auditions.
Netflix?
No, for auditions. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Burning a DVD and post.
Dude, we have to be appreciative for the fact that we don't have to do that anymore. That's insane. So last bullet points for this. Yes, your content is always your content. In fact, your section 6.2, blah, 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 clearly states that you own and retain all right, title, and interest, including intellectual property rights into the content. Yes, you're granting us permission to ensure we can run and improve the WeTransfer service properly. Yes, our terms are compliant with applicable privacy laws, including the GDPR. Don't know what that is. No, we are not using your content to train AI models. No, we do not sell your content to third parties.
GDPR is data protection laws.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're pretty stringent in.
What does what does the G stand for?
Let's see. What is this? It's a General Data Protection Regulation. It's an EU law.
Good to know.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Including
they take
the EU
that
law.
pretty seriously in the EU. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, EU knows what they're doing.
Sometimes,
yeah. Okay, so they had to make that clear because everyone was freaked out and completely confused by their first change in terms of services, terms and agreements. So there you go. So WeTransfer backtracks. We'll see what happens with this and if people go back to it. But this week, a lot of people are up in arms about the Late Show with Stephen Colbert getting canceled. He's not getting fired. He issued he did a monologue where he actually talked about it on his show. He's not getting fired. The show is just getting canceled.
Which is a long running show.
Actually, let's start from the beginning. Stephen Colbert was very open. He's very liberal. He was very open, criticizing and making jokes about the settlement paid to Donald Trump about that CBS paid for their 60-minute special. So that was probably one of many things that Trump and maybe the higher-ups did not like. Oh, yeah, he called it a bribe. He called it a bribe that they settled with Donald Trump in the hopes that their merger with Skydance would be favored upon. So you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. He made a joke about it, which people are speculating is part of this cancellation. CBS claims that it was agonizing. You have all the, Fox News talking about how expensive the show was, making all these excuses for why this might be canceled that wasn't politically motivated or unethical. Other implications. We know that Skydance is run by David Ellison. His father is Larry Ellison, a longtime Trump associate. It's not that hard to see the political implications here. According to the ratings, it was one of the top rated, watched late night shows.
Yeah, I believe it. He's a really popular presenter. He's good. I mean, I don't know. Do you watch late night? Are you a late night watcher?
In all honesty, I don't have normal TV. So if anything, it would be clips. I don't really watch it, but I like Stephen Colbert. I think he's really sharp, really funny.
I mean, I loved the Colbert Report. I thought that was incredible. It was such a great. I think that was my favorite show on Comedy Central at the time, more than the Daily Show even, because I just loved his take. I loved that character he played. When he went to late night, I was disappointed because I loved that show so much, and I didn't. Like, I don't watch, like you say, I don't watch terrestrial TV either, really, but I do see a lot of clips of it, and I'd see a lot of clips pop up here and there. But yeah, like a really great performer, and by all accounts, a really good host.
And here's the thing: it brings up the. We're not going to dive into this too much, but it brings up to the sad truth that how much power and how much voice do you really have when you're working for a network, and they make and they sign your checks. Because Stephen Colbert was definitely more vocal and definitely more pointed with a lot of his comedy and music.
Yeah. So other hosts do it too. I see John Oliver do it on HBO.
Oh,
sometimes.
well, John Oliver.
Like
John Oliver's on a whole nother world.
Yeah.
By the way, that's also HBO though, so I think you get a little.
It is HBO, but he'll lampoon AT&T. When AT&T were owned HBO and whatever, and it's since changed hands. But he used to take the piss out of them all the time, which is very funny. But never seemed to quite. He didn't get canned for it. It was. So I don't know if they just have a better sense of humor, or this is just.
John Oliver, in my eyes, he's my favorite for sure. So just about these ratings. As the second quarter of 2025 wrapped, late night's pecking order held mostly steady. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert tops the 11:35 p.m. hour in total viewers. Late Night with Seth Meyers leading at 12:37. Wow, that's late. Across both key ratings metrics. CBS's Late Show was the only show among the 9 to draw more total viewers in Q2 than it had in the first quarter of 2025. It was actually increasing in viewers.
Yeah.
And that was the only one that actually did. So there you go. So this problem in viewership and followers, it's nowhere to be seen. Averaged 2.42 million viewers across 41 episodes, comfortably outpacing Jimmy Kimmel Live and The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So there you go.
Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that, to be honest, but that's fascinating.
I wouldn't have guessed that too, and it's on later.
Yeah. What are you all doing? Staying up? How late do people stay up watching telly?
Dude, I can't even imagine.
If I could be in bed by 9 every night, I would be.
Oh, yeah. I strive for that. The big question is what is next? Jon Stewart just said this past week he doesn't know what's going to happen either. If for those that don't know, Daily Show is also a Paramount property. So there you go. No one knows anything.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because you've, freedom of the press, allegedly, and then you have big business interests. And more often than not, it seems, that tops everything.
It's not great.
Not great.
So one more thing to throw out, just because I think it's It's a warning sign. I just got sent, my friend sent this to me because he saw it on the breakdowns or he saw it on casting sites. I just saw the sketchiest breakdown for a non-union horror film.
Hit me.
It is so egregious. I had to tell you about it.
I love this.
I don't even know. Well, we will have pictures and the breakdown in the video. I have to double check if I'm even allowed to show this.
Okay.
But they were allowed to post this as a non-union horror film.
Okay.
This is so sketchy. And the joke is... Actually, let me just tell you what it is. Hold on, let me find it. This is a non-union feature film. This is a fictitious adult actress. Okay? That is the role that they're looking for. I'm not even going to read the breakdown.
Here, give me some highlights of the breakdown.
Oh, actually, it is kind of hilarious. We do have to say this. So this is a non-union. I don't even know if it's a horror film, but it's non-union. $125 a day for 2 days. Fictitious adult actress. You are a woman who has lived a full and challenging life, shaped by both ambition and adversity. Along the way, you've developed coping mechanisms which have slowly taken a toll, including struggles with substance abuse. Now you're at a turning point. Seeking change, you take a courageous step toward healing by joining Narcotics Anonymous. Your journey is one of self-discovery, accountability, and resilience as you begin to reclaim your sense of self and hope for the future. Wow.
Which sounds like, okay, all right, fair enough. And, I was expecting something like, you relieve the stresses of life by taking your clothes off.
Yeah. No, that's fair. They did try. This is a very aspirational breakdown.
So tell us the note that.
In bold, note, required action for the part. The director is requesting a short self-taped video that looks like it would belong in a porn scene.
Oh,
the male
my
lead,
God.
The male lead will be watching this video on his phone at the beginning of the film. Please refer to this attached image for framing and composition. Jesus I have an attached photo of a possibly real or fictitious porn scene in this breakdown. This was listed.
Dude.
A picture.
Is this even a real movie? Is this just a fucking let's solicit?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
This doesn't even sound real.
This is a PSA, and unfortunately, we should have done this earlier when it was actually casting. But this is a PSA
before it got shut down.
Exactly.
Hopefully,
be careful for all the non-union postings and movies that people are submitting for. They're asking for a short self-tape video that looks like it belongs in a porn film. Please refer to the attached image for framing composition, which will keep the role from requiring any sort of nudity. So it's framed in a way where you're not showing certain things. That being said, for the performance itself, you will pretend to be. I can't even say this.
Why the fuck do they need that as the self tape? Like, why does that have to be the fucking tape?
I have no idea. Anyway, they're very thorough because they gave clear instructions. Jesus. I don't know. So there you go. This was in a breakdown.
This is the kind of shit that should be flagged, to be honest. Like, because the fact that that's even out there.
I know, exactly. So anyway, there you go. That's our Actor's Guide to the End of the World PSA for the week. Moving on, that is word around town. Let us get to the hottest bits of Reddit. Tearing up the acting thread on Reddit.
So basically, this post is talking about the show Adolescence, which is on Netflix, starring Stephen Graham. This post is basically saying that this show kills the idea that over-rehearsing lines kills spontaneity. Every episode is done in one shot. Yeah, no spoilers. But every episode is done in one single take. And the way they achieved that was they rehearsed it like a play. And then they had to get a full clean take every time with no cuts. So some of the episodes took, I think the shortest, I think they got one in 2 takes. They did 2 takes a day. I think they might have got one in 2 takes. But the longest one, it took 16 takes. So that's 8 days of the same thing to try and get this, to try and get it all in one shot. And I've heard this a bit that like a lot of people don't like to rehearse, or learn their lines too well because they feel like it kills the spontaneity of performance. I think we've talked about this before. Because we talked about, there was a director I heard talking about that said that the freedom is in the preparation, that once you're fully prepared, then you can play with it and be free. And their take on it was that it's a kind of a myth that not preparing well or not over-rehearsing is what gives you the freedom and that spontaneity. But their take was that it's the opposite of that. And they say that it takes they rehearsed for weeks before each episode, and that proves that not over-rehearsing. They can still get that spontaneous feel and that real feel off it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And also, by the way, I watched the first episode and I want to watch more. I heard amazing things. I didn't realize each episode was a one take. Yeah. A one shot. That's incredible.
Yeah. There was very minimal, there was minimal sort of post-production effects, but some of them, like when they pass the camera through a window, they digitally put the window back in. It. Yeah. So it looks like there was actually a window in there, but they're not blending takes. They're just digitally, inserting a window. So because obviously you can't pass it through a closed window, whatever.
I see what you mean.
Things like that. But it was still one continuous take that required a massive amount of coordination from everybody, crew, cast, everybody, to try and make it all work together. So, it's a remarkable achievement. Whatever you think of the show, and the show did really well, and people talk about it and kind of
raved about it
with reverence. Yeah. Now tough material, but a very a brilliant show. Idea. I mean, do you like to rehearse a lot, or do you like to?
We kind of touched upon it when we talked about Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin. People change their habits, and I want to stay. I'm still in class. I want to stay sharp, and I'm always trying to figure out the way I like to work. And you don't want to get too comfortable, and then you also are trying to figure out how to do your job better. And ultimately, you just need to do whatever you need to do to be brilliant. And so
I agree.
I kind of waffle, in all honesty, away from over-rehearsing because I actually do kind of believe that. But then again, I also see that if I was able to rehearse for 3 weeks, a month, or whatever, I think that has value too. And I think shooting is going to be a joy because you got all that work in and you figured out script, you figure out all the kinks, and then you can let it go on set. So, to be honest, I don't land in one side, but the real stars and a lot of the superstars and at that point they've been fortunate to find a way that they like to work and be brilliant. And I think ultimately each person just has to find their way.
Yeah, I agree. And you hear different takes from actors. And again, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's whatever it takes for you to get to where you need to be the best to give the best possible performance. For me personally, what it does, I think the more I prepare, the more it kills the chance that nerves will derail me or something will derail me on the day, where to just be ready for the unexpected. And I think if I'm very, very prepared, then I'm ready in that environment when it can be quite high pressure. And, it feels like there can be time constraints, there can be, script changes, whatever. But if I'm very prepared, I feel a lot more relaxed. So I think what it gives me is a bit more peace and a bit more relaxation. Because I think of it like a play. Like you rehearse a play for 4 weeks, usually, at least, And during the run of a play, it changes over time and you feel it change. Like at the start of a run, it's a different play from like where it is in the middle of a run, and often the director will step back in and go, this is a different play than we rehearsed, and makes adjustments and stuff. But it just kind of takes on a life of its own. But that's the thing. But like when you think of it in terms of theatre, you're doing the same thing night after night after night after night, and you've already rehearsed it for 4 weeks. I don't think that kills the spontaneity of it, because when I've seen a lot of great theatre and I know that it's done over and over and over again, and I'm seeing it one night out of however many there are. So I think that kills the argument that, over rehearsing something. I don't think we needed adolescents to tell us that. You know what I mean? I think
that's a great point.
Yeah. I think that's, I think it's great that they're recognizing it, but like, for me personally, I don't feel like, rehearsing a lot kills the spontaneity. I think it helps me. Now, for other people, I know even recently I was talking to an actor that was like, I've done this so many times, it's kind of lost all meaning. Like I've taken different notes and I've done this scene so many times, like I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. And I understand that too. So I think it's an individual thing. I think.
Going
But
back to this, I completely agree, and I even adjust what I thought originally. I don't not like rehearsing. When people say, and I don't know if you're like this, when people say, I force myself to go to the gym, I never enjoy I'm not saying for me, but some people say, I force myself to go to the gym. I don't understand why everyone loves going to the gym. I do it because it's good for me, but I don't love going there, but I feel good afterwards. That might be how I feel about rehearsal. So
interesting.
So
okay. Yeah.
I know it's good for me, and I have to fight the process in my brain going to a result that this is how the scene is. This is how it should be done. Instead of welcoming, let's workshop this. This is missing. This is missing. You're always going to find something better if you're working the material with other smart, good actors. And that's also a nod to a lot of the rehearsal that we do at the con and what we kind of how we work. It's always going to make your acting better. Now, are you going to hate it some days? Yes. Are you going to say some days, hey, I hate that note, but I'm going to try it? That's also great practice as an actor. So
100%.
Ultimately, I think it makes actors better regardless whether you're on set with David Fincher or just working and practicing and rehearsing in class. I think it's ultimately getting to the point of workshop, tweak this. Can we improve this? Can we find moments there? And never set on a final performance and then ultimately, hopefully, be able to let it go, which is probably the hardest part after rehearsing a lot. And then that's the work that we're all trying to get to. I think great acting, I think this conversation is actually kind of separate from great acting. There are so many great actors that we've seen that are a little more off the cuff. Maybe it's Kieran Culkin, maybe it's Marlon Brando. There's also so many heavily rehearsed David Fincher movies where they do 60 takes sometimes, and they're great actors, and it looks like they're saying it for the first time. So it's ultimately where everyone's trying to get to great acting. How you get there might be individual to the actor. So I do remember that there was this video of Tom Holland talking about how he likes to go over his lines the morning of when he's in the makeup chair. I think a lot of these stories are kind of mythologized, that these actors are just so talented and so spontaneous, Kieran Culkin-like, that they just show up and they're brilliant. I think it's kind of misleading. Tom Holland in general, I think we can safely say that Tom Holland is also a great actor. And I would like to think that that does not mean that he has not done hours, weeks, months of work and preparation before that morning in the makeup chair. So a lot of times that these stories are kind of conflated with each other. It kind of gets mixed up with learning lines. You know, I think most actors know that is not the majority of the work is just memorizing lines. There's so much other things that we need to worry about or try to accomplish. So there's that.
You're right. It is a bit misleading because it suggests that there isn't any prep done when actually there's lots of prep done. And David Fincher, I either saw an interview with him recently or read something where he said the reason he does so many takes is like, you've spent all this money to bring all these people to this place. Why would you not? Why would you not spend the time to get it right?
I
like.
literally saw that video last week too. I think it was circulating.
Yeah.
Yeah. To David Fincher's point, and granted, I haven't been on the. I would love to be in a David Fincher movie, and I would love that problem that David Fincher is doing too many takes with me. Sometimes you have to say it a lot, so you stop acting. It's not that crazy, and I think that's fair. It's like after a while, you're not acting anymore, and maybe that's what he's trying to get to.
The danger in that with self-tapes for me is like you kind of get into a bit of a line read where you're just doing the same scene over and over and over and over, and you just get into a bit of a line read. That can pull the spontaneity out of it. I do understand that. But then I think, if you can walk away from it and come back, you can start fresh again on that, I find. But I do know if I do too many takes, I just get into like a kind of a bit of a rut of this is how I'm saying this line, this is how I'm saying this line. And I lose a bit of the thoughts and the spontaneity. And understanding you'll never get to perfect. I mean, we talked about this the other day, but perfection implies that there's a destination that you're trying to get to, that there's a single right way of doing something. We're talking about the difference between fluency and perfection. Whereas fluency, something like language, if you're fluent in a language, you can say things a different way, and you can say things in a surprising way, and you can say things in a poetic way. And I think that we're talking about that being the goal rather than perfection, which is just a very binary kind of there is a perfect, and you strive towards perfect, and there's one pinpoint of a destination.
100%. Some other little bits from the Reddit headlines. This is a great point about rehearsing. Rehearsing things forces you to look for every single alternative way of processing a line delivery. You may scratch version A and version B during different takes, but with proper rehearsals, you'll get to version W and version X, which will undoubtedly be things that no other actor would think of. Anyone can think of version A, which I think is a great way of putting that, which is kind of like what I was saying about rehearsal, that if you have the time and if you're afforded the time, or if you're a movie star and you're afforded that luxury of multiple takes and doing it ways that you wanted and possibly improvising, you have that luxury and it's going to be better. This is a great one. I think a lot of it has to do with ego. They want to come off as amazing actors, so they don't need to rehearse that much because their natural talent will do the work for them when the time comes. Some of it can even just be laziness, and they'll rehearse until it's good enough. And I think that's a great way to put it. There is a lot of ego involved. There is a lot of mythologizing about how naturally talented these actors are. And I think it's doing a disservice to a lot of actors. And that's why we're talking about this. This poster, the name is great, by the way. The Gap in Tyson's Teeth says, I think it's because there are two conflicting ideas here that often get combined. Learning your lines is the drilling of memorization. It's the stuff people create, memory techniques for. This helps them with their performances because having the words locked in means they can just live the character. Others take it off the page, which is to say that they work the lines instinctively, explore their impulses and instincts within the character when delivering each line. This causes an internalization of the words and not necessarily a verbatim memorization. People who do this might often say they don't learn lines, but that just means they don't memorize verbatim. But everything about the performance still comes from the text, or there's nothing to perform. Now, this is a big generalization, I believe, but I think it spells out and it articulates this distinction pretty well. If there's a niche third group who literally doesn't base the source of their performance in the text, then they aren't really actors, and their advice should be ignored. So I thought that was fair. I think that's a fair point. All right, so that's great Reddit advice, everyone. Another week.
Reddit rips. Okay, so my hidden gem for this week is a bit of an odd one, but I went for dinner in a friend's house the other night, and his partner is Italian, and she cooked an Italian-style meal. And as part of that meal, she cooked fennel, like breaded fennel, which was fantastic. Like just lightly breaded fennel, like cooked in a pan. I have never thought of fennel as a food that you could eat on its own, but it was excellent. And that's like a big central Italian thing. I was like, so there you go.
Okay.
Look into fennel, guys.
like
You've
that.
been sleeping on fennel like me.
And so for my hidden gem, it's going to be also culinary. I just did a little visit to New York recently, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not a boba person. If you heard of boba tea, it's the one with the gelatin-like sweet, however you want to call them, gelatinous balls in milk tea, boba tea. Sometimes they do matcha and various other flavors. It's called Shinfu Tong. It's actually from Taiwan, so they're legit. I personally like to go all the way to Flushing for that location. You actually see them making the boba balls by hand.
Get out.
It is incredible. So anyway, if you're a fan of boba tea, go out and get it. It's Xingfu Tong. That's a Chinese name. Xingfutang. And that's the spot. That's the spot, everyone. They got locations all over Manhattan, in New York. And check it out if you're into that. So that's our show, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave us a like, leave us a review when you get a chance, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.